All right, this is Obeyed on behalf of V Electronics, and in this video, we'll be talking about the impact of aggregate demand on imports. Now, in the last few videos, we've been talking about how aggregate demand causes inflation if it goes over potential GDP or full employment. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have your aggregate supply over here, okay, and you have your aggregate demand somewhere over here. And let's assume this is your potential GDP or full employment. Okay, this is the vertical line, which represents full employment, which basically means that the suppliers and the employers are able to produce at full capacity without putting too much pressure on the resources, such as labor, machinery, so on and so forth. So this is full employment. Now we know that as aggregate demand moves to the right, further to the right, let's say because of an expansionary fiscal or monetary policy, it will cause what we know as inflation because the demand is more than what the producers can supply. So suppose this is E1. At E1, you have inflation. And not only do you have inflation, but you also have a reduction in net exports. Okay, and what I mean by net exports, this will be your imports take away exports. Okay, and the reason for this, the reason for this is because as aggregate demand goes up, okay, the consumers are not able to get their demand sorted out. They're not able to get the supply they want. For that reason, they look outside national boundaries to meet their demand. Okay, which basically means they import products and services. If they don't find a product or service within a country, they look outside the country and import products and services. All right, so imports will go up. And when your imports go up, okay, your GDP shrinks, your economy shrinks. The reason why is because your net exports makes up a big chunk of your GDP in some countries. Okay, which means as exports go down, or if imports go up and exports stay at a fixed amount, okay, then your net GDP will go down. Your net GDP will go down. All right, as economy shrinks, you have high unemployment, you may even have a recession. High unemployment as well as a recession. So as you may notice, okay, as aggregate demand goes up, it's not always good for the economy, okay, because it may cause inflation and it may cause the imports to go up, right? Now, it may be good for the foreign investors, okay, however, okay, you will need to check whether the money coming in, okay, into your economy is less or more than the money going out. So cash flowing in versus cash flowing out. All right. And if there isn't a balance of trade, if the imports are more than exports, eventually your GDP will start to shrink, as a result of which economy will shrink, unemployment will go up, so on and so forth. All right, so that would be it for this video. On behalf of V Electronics, this is Obeyed. Have yourself a great day.